Hi everyone, welcome back. What a crazy week of FPL we've had so far. We had 5 postponements last week, we've got 2 this week at least, or 3 I believe, with the Burnley game also getting called off. So we're going to look at the results from last week, and then we're also going to look at the team for next week, with however many people we have left to play. Let's get into it. Okay, so last week I took a -4 to bring in Ben Davies. That did not work out very well. I know they were playing Liverpool, so I didn't expect too much from the man, but I was expecting at least 1 point. I don't know, maybe that's a bit hopeful in my eyes, but came out to be a 0-point return. And we also brought in Foden, who also did not play, so we got 0 points for a -4, which was perfect, exactly what we wanted. We had 10 players that I thought were going to play, and we only had 9, and one of them got 0, so kind of sucked that way, but luckily the rest of our team really saved our butts. Cancelo in particular doing very well for Man City. I mean, not surprising, they're playing Newcastle, so it's not necessarily a hard game, but he got a goal in that game, which was really nice. So that was nice to see. Chelsea getting back to their old ways. We saw Conte come back, so maybe that's why they did so well, but a 0-0 result is perfectly fine for us. We only have defenders, so that's all we really care about. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold also getting an assist and some bonus points in the game against Tottenham. What a crazy game that was. I mean, really, Tottenham should have won that game by a couple of goals. So I think Alexander-Arnold was lucky to get a 1-point return there only lose 1 point for goals conceded. So that was nice. But yeah, overall our defense really saved us, really carried us. I think the big at the back can be good sometimes. And I think this week really proved that it was quite important. So as we can see, our midfield also did pretty well. Jota, I believe, got the goal in the game, or maybe got the assist, I can't remember. Salah, please ignore the 7, it's supposed to be a 4, because he was our captain this week, so he only got 2 points. Was very anonymous in that game, which was pretty worrying. Yeah, was very surprised by that. Smith Rowe coming off the bench, getting a goal, we love to see that. Leeds are just a complete calamity at the back, so I'm not surprised that he came on and scored, but still, Leeds need to tighten it up a bit if they're going to do well against any other team in the league. And lastly, our forward line and our bench, they all got 0 points because they didn't end up playing. All their matches were either postponed or they just didn't play, but actually for our case, they were all just postponed, so that was a bit disappointing, a bit unfortunate, and a bit annoying. Yeah, so if we look, our predicted score for this week was 60.3. That is also with Watkins, so I believe it's actually more like 55 something. We ended up getting 55, but -4, so we actually only got 51 points, really. We got knocked out of the cup by a guy who ended up wildcarding this week, so I mean, we didn't really stand much of a chance. He wildcarded. I didn't have a wildcard anymore, and I was never planning on using it this week anyways, even if I did have it. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We got knocked out of the cup, whatever. But yeah, now we got 51 points this week, leaving our overall score at 1,187, and our world rank at 29,478. Let's move on to Gameweek 19. Okay, so we're moving on to Gameweek 19. Unsurprisingly, my team is looking at pretty bare bones. We've got 3 postponements so far. We have Everton versus Burnley postponed. We had, gosh, I can't remember the other postponements now that I think of it off the top of my head. We had the Liverpool game postponed, right, against Leeds, and we had the Watford game against Wolverhampton postponed. So we'd think that 5 postponements last week would be more detrimental to my team, but it's actually this week that's much worse. Because I had 3 Liverpool players, and I had a Burnley player, and I had a Watford player. So let's take a look at the team right now and see how it's looking, but it's looking pretty bare bones, to say the least, and a free hit is definitely on the table if another game gets postponed. So when we take a look at our back line, we actually are looking quite decent. We got Ramsdale and net against Norwich, we're looking pretty good there. We got the 2 Chelsea boys against Aston Villa away, which is not a fantastic fixture per se, but I think it is definitely a decent fixture. I think both of them will definitely start as well, because I don't think either of them started on the weekend, or sorry, during the week in their Brentford game in the what is the League Cup, I think. So yeah, the fact that neither of them started, I think gives us a good chance of them playing a good amount of the game. And then we also got Ben Davies against Crystal Palace. I think that's also a very good fixture. I think Tottenham looked pretty good against Liverpool. I mean, they did concede a couple goals, but I think a lot of them were more just like personal mistakes. I think they're things that can definitely be taken out of their game. So I think a clean sheet against Crystal Palace is definitely possible. And then we got Cancelo against Leicester. Leicester at home, which I think is also a decent fixture. I mean, Leicester did end up scoring 3 goals against Liverpool, which was not a fantastic look, but Liverpool are playing with like a half team, and Man City, they don't seem to have any COVID problems, so I think they're going to have a lot of players available, while Leicester, I know, have had some problems with COVID and some injuries, so I think that our back line looks really, really strong this week. This is definitely not the problem with our team. I think this is definitely one of the stronger back lines we've had, especially considering we're missing Trent. I think this back line is really strong. I think we're looking really good here. Okay, so here's where the power problems kind of start to arise. As you can see, we have Brownhill with NA. I was going to play him because all the Liverpool boys are on my bench. And since I had triple Liverpool, I put them all on my bench, and none of them are playing. I have the Burnley game against Everton. I thought he'd just be like someone who I had to play and maybe get 2 points out of. But he's not going to be playing anymore, which sucks. So yeah, we're down a man in midfield. And considering Jota and Salah both don't play this week, we have nobody that we can replace him with in midfield. So unless we went with a midfield 2 and maybe brought a new forward or a new defender, that's the only way we'd get 3 midfielders out there. Smith Rowe against Norwich. Still, again, I'm worried that he's going to be on the bench. He's been on the bench for the last couple of weeks. It seems like Martinelli's really solidifying his place in the team, which is making it much harder for Smith Rowe to get into the team. Sorry, it's supposed to be Smith, just not Smithy. But yeah, Smith Rowe. I'm a little worried about his playing time. I think that he's probably going to be benched against Norwich and probably come on. So, I mean, that's probably only 1 point there. Unless we get lucky again. I mean, Smith Rowe's come on twice now for 2 goals. But I just don't think that's not sustainable. Unless he becomes like this Chicharito-esque player who always comes off the bench and always scores. And then we got Foden as well. He had some disciplinary problems. That's why he didn't come on in the Newcastle game last week, which was very, very annoying. I mean, I would love to have known that. I don't even know how anybody would be able to predict that, so I'm not too upset about it, but I am upset about the fact that I'm going to have to deal with him this week. Yeah, so it would be nice to know what's going on with Foden. Sounds like he could potentially be benched, which again is not great considering we only have 9 players this week so far without any transfers done. So, I mean, if Foden is out, that could really screw us over. Yeah, let's move on to our forwards and talk about them as well. Okay, so here are our forwards. Like I said again, we have King, who off our game postponed, so he's going to have NA. All Liverpool boys on the bench, they would have NA as well, so nothing changes. We have Antonio against Southampton. See, now, the thing is that I like Antonio as a pick. I think against Southampton it's a really good fixture. The problem is that Antonio got COVID, apparently, and that's why he didn't start during the midweek against Tottenham, and now that's also a reason why he might not start this game. So, like, if we don't have Antonio, Smith Rowe could potentially be benched, Foden could potentially be benched, then we'd have basically, like, 6 players. We have the entire back line of Watkins playing, and Watkins is playing Chelsea at home, which is also a terrible fixture. It'd be so hard to see him scoring in that game. I know Watkins usually does better against big teams and smaller teams. Maybe that's because they give him less room or more room to like counter, but I just don't know what to do here. Like, I really think a free hit is probably the best thing for this team, because if like I said, if Smith Rowe's benched, Foden's benched, Antonio doesn't play, we're now playing with 6 players, all of which are defenders, and Watkins, who is the only forward available. Now, I obviously can make some transfers. The main one I'm thinking is Son, maybe Salah to Son. Pretty easy transfer. Not a lot of thinking has to be done into that. That would leave a lot in the bank, so maybe potentially like an Antonio to Ronaldo move is also on the cards. He is definitely 100% sure not playing, because what's the point of even having him? Just because he has a fixture under his name doesn't mean he's going to be playing. It's actually probably even worse that he has a fixture under his name and he's not playing, because he doesn't even get to rearrange it. He's just stuck with a fixture that he can't play. So yeah, let's look at our captaincy options. The vice captain I've put on Smith Rowe. I know it's kind of insane to say that because it sounds like he might not be playing the way I've been talking. This could easily move to James or Rudiger depending on how I feel. But I didn't want to put too much emphasis on the defense. So Smith Rowe I thought was a decent one. He comes off the bench, scores quite often. I think he's been in quite decent form, so I think he can continue that, especially against a weak Norwich side. Our captain this week is actually going to be Cancelo. Again, I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, there's not that many captaincy options in this team right now. Antonio might have been a captaincy option maybe at the beginning of the season, but he's been out of form and he has COVID, so he might not even play. So it's not a fantastic time to be captaining him. Foden, with his disciplinary issues, could potentially be screwed. So I'm not really feeling that one either. Watkins against Chelsea, not a great fixture. Davies against Crystal Palace, yes, it's not bad, but I think that Man City are more likely to clean sheet against Leicester than Tottenham are against Crystal Palace. And then Rudiger and James. I mean, James could be benched this week. We never know what's going on with Chelsea. And then Rudiger is like, he's okay, but he's really only like 6 points max usually. I mean, he got those 2 assists that one game, but that was a super anomaly. We don't see Rudiger get in the box very often. So I really think that Cancelo is really the only option for Captaincy this week. And I know it's kind of sad to say. Yeah, if you look at our bench, they're all the big boys. That's a lot of money sitting on our bench that we can't really do much with, but we don't want to get rid of them because they have such good fixtures and they're such an amazing team. The only one I would even consider getting rid of is Salah because of the African Cup of Nations, but I mean, if that also gets cancelled, then what are we even doing, right? Why would we get rid of Salah if that gets cancelled? So I'm really thinking a free hit might be the best way to go. We get to keep Salah for Leicester next week and potentially even keep him for Chelsea, which I know is not a fantastic fixture, but he did well earlier in the season, so maybe he'll do well again. So keeping Salah, I think, is better than getting rid of him, and I think the only way to survive this week would be to get rid of him. So it's hard to say what I want to do. Maybe even a -4 is possible, but I really want to not take -4s. The whole point, like the main thing I want to do this season was to avoid -4s at all costs. And in 18 game weeks, I've taken 16 points worth of -4s. So I've taken 4 -4s, and I really don't want to be doing that very often because that really hurts your rank. And yeah, as we can see here, our projected score this week is 41.3. It's super low, very low compared to our averages. Usually our average game week is anywhere between like 60 and 70 points, so, or maybe like 55, 65 points. So 41 points is really, really low. I mean, luckily our average right now per game week is around like 65, so it would probably bring it down a little bit, but I mean, we want to be doing well, and this is not a great prediction score. My personal predicted score for this team is really only like 35 points. I mean, Cancelo, I could see getting a clean sheet, so that's like 10 points right there, 10 to 15 points. And the rest of the team, 25 points between all of them is actually, I think, pretty decent, just considering how poor the rest of the team looks. I mean, if Chelsea can concede a goal, I'm looking really, really bad, unless it's to Watkins. But I mean, the odds of it being to Watkins is also pretty low because of obviously other Aston Villa players that can score. So I'm not feeling good about this game week. It's looking quite bad, and I'm thinking that a free hit is definitely on the cards. After we're done talking about my team right now, we're going to go into the FPL website and we're going to look at a free hit team that I've considered so far. But yeah, Money in the Bank, we have lots of money in the bank. There's nothing to do with it. We can't do anything with it. We got almost £4 million in the bank, and I don't even know what I would be able to do with it. I mean, the thought process before was I was going to take James out maybe next week for Reguilon, and then bring Smith Rowe out for Son, and then keep Salah, Jota, Alexander-Arnold, and then take out Salah whenever the African Cup of Nations happens, and maybe bring in like a Man City player, or I don't know, somebody else that's expensive, maybe a Manchester United player, or take a -4, take Salah out, and bring Ronaldo back. But I can't be taking James out and Smith Rowe out when they're the only ones playing games. You know, so it'd be insane to take James out at this point with the team looking the way it is. So. And yeah, transfer going into game week 20. We got 1 transfer going in, unless we roll this week, but I really, really doubt we're gonna roll. So either we free hit and I have 1 transfer next week, or we use at least our free transfer, if not more. So yeah, that's the team that's confirmed for game week 19 right now, at least. Let's look at the free hit team that I'm considering. Okay, so this is the team that I have set up for my free hit. I think it's the best team that I could possibly make with all the money. I have $0 in the bank, as we can see up there. And yeah, so just to go over quickly, the reason we have Fernandes as a backup to De Gea is if that Manchester United game gets called off, I'm completely royally screwed because I would have no goalkeeper. I mean, even if it does get called off, and like I don't know, I have Ronaldo and I have Dallo and Manquillo from that game week. So that's 3 players from that game week. So it's not too bad, or four players, sorry. So, but they all have bench options, which is nice. If the Arsenal game is called off, we have 3 players from that. We have Gilmore, Lacazette, and Saka, so they get put on the bench. Hopefully all the other games go through, and we're good to go. If the Tottenham game is pulled off, we lose Kane, Son, Reguilon, which is fine because we have other players that can cover them. If the Chelsea game gets called off after the deadline, we're good to go because we have all the Chelsea players. If the Leicester game is called off after that, we only lose Cancelo. And then I don't even remember who West Ham are playing. I think they're playing Southampton. So if the Southampton gets called off, we only lose Bowen. So the way I've thought about this team is I want the best players from the best fixtures but also I want to mitigate the risk of postponements after the deadline. So this team I think is quite good. It'd be a 3-4-3. Dallo, then Gilmore, then Manquillo on the bench, with Fernandez also on the bench as our backup goalkeeper. I just think this is the best team I can possibly think of. This team is projected to get about 65 points. So considering the fact that I am only projected to get 41 points, that's about a 24-point difference. So I'm trying to debate, is this free hit worth 24 points, and can I make more than 24 points in the double game week in a couple game weeks in game week 22? So yeah, game week 22, like, I'm thinking about my team right now. I'm thinking most of the players in my team, or the players that I'm going to be getting in my team, do have double game weeks that week. So I'm thinking that it's more likely than not that I'm going to have a starting 11 of double game week players anyways. So I'm thinking that the free hit is not going to be as like useful or as effective as it would be this game week. But yeah, I'm still not 100% sure about it. This is probably going to be a decision I make on Boxing Day morning. I guess for the UK people, I don't believe that's morning. I believe that'll be like afternoon. But I'm from Canada. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm going to be getting up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my FPL team before the Tottenham game kicks off. So that's going to be a fun way to spend the early mornings of Boxing Day, trying to figure out what to do with my fantasy team. And I think a lot of people are going to be having the same problems. As we can see from the price changes recently, there have been basically none because nobody's making transfers. You'd have to be absolutely bonkers to be making transfers this early into the game week, because there's just, how are you going to know? Like, the game that got called off today. There have been games that have been called off 1 hour before, like the Aston Villa game last week got called off an hour before the fixture. So yeah, not making any early transfers, not making any early decisions. This is just the free hit team that I've designed from the amount of money that I have for my current starting 11. And yeah, so this is the team that I'm thinking about. I think it might be worth it. I think the 24 points, the potential 24 points, is worth more than what I'd be getting by just keeping the team the way it is and getting a free hit in Gaming 22. Having 2 free hit cards definitely makes me consider this. If I didn't have 2 free hit cards, I would definitely be playing 8 players or 9 players, however many players I have right now. I wouldn't even be considering it. But yeah, so thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you have any questions that you have about your own teams or my teams, like I said, leave them in the comments. Please feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope everybody has a good game week. I hope everyone figures out what they're going to do, because I still don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah. Good luck, everybody. Cheers.